There is a hidden population in the United States that society completely overlooks. They are the people who simply vanished from the workforce, from social circles, and from their own lives because someone they loved got sick. When you spend your 40s or 50s as a full-time caregiver for a parent, a spouse, or a child, the world keeps spinning while you are frozen in a hospital room or a living room filled with medical equipment. When that chapter finally ends, you don't just feel older. You feel like an alien dropped onto a planet you no longer understand. You have a massive gap on your resume. Your bank account is drained, and you are running on a deeply entrenched cellular exhaustion. Here is a 7-minute story about the gritty, heartbreaking, and fiercely powerful journey of stepping back into the light after surviving the crucible of caregiving. The story: the caregivers return the trapped meet Maria. At 54, Maria felt like a ghost in her own life. For the last 11 years, she had been the sole caregiver for her mother, who battled early onset Alzheimer's. To do this, Maria had to make the choices thousands of Americans are forced to make. She quit her mid-level marketing job, depleted her savings, and watched her social circle slowly shrink to nothing. Her entire 40s were swallowed by doctor's appointments, fighting with insurance companies, and the grueling, heartbreaking physical labor of bathing and feeding the woman who raised her. When her mother finally passed away, people told Maria she could finally get her life back. But Maria didn't have a life to go back to. She sat in an agonizingly quiet house, entirely stripped of her identity. She wasn't a marketer anymore. She was just a deeply traumatized, unemployed, 54-year-old woman with an 11-year hole in her resume. She felt like her own life had expired while she was busy saving someone else's. The turning point: the resume humiliation. 6 months after the funeral, the financial reality set in. Maria had to get a job. She opened her laptop and tried to update her resume. She stared at the screen and broke down, sobbing. How do you explain a decade of absence? She landed an interview for an entry-level administrative role. The hiring manager, a sharp 30-something, looked at her resume and asked the dreaded question, "So, Maria, it looks like you haven't been in the workforce since 2015. What have you been doing to keep your skills sharp?" Maria stumbled through an apology about taking care of a sick family member. She saw the interviewer's eyes glaze over with polite pity. She didn't get the job. Walking to her car, Maria felt a crushing wave of shame. She had done the hardest, most honorable work a human being could do, and the corporate world viewed her as damaged goods. Phase 1. The translation of trauma. That anger in the parking lot was the spark Maria needed. She realized that apologizing for her gap was a betrayal of her own strength. She sat down at her kitchen table and looked at what she had actually done for the last 11 years. She hadn't been sitting at home. She had managed complex, high-stakes medication schedules. She had negotiated thousands of dollars in medical billing disputes. She had de-escalated violent dementia episodes with deep psychological tact. She had managed a supply chain of medical equipment. Maria realized she didn't have a gap in her skills. She had a masterclass in crisis management and healthcare logistics. She just had to learn how to translate it so the outside world could understand it. Phase 2. The sideways step. Maria stopped applying for generic corporate jobs where automated software would reject her age and her resume gap. She leaned directly into her crucible. She reached out to a local non-profit that provided resources for elder care and dementia families. She didn't ask for a 6-figure salary. She asked for a foot in the door. They hired her as a part-time patient navigator. At 55, Maria was making near minimum wage, working alongside recent college graduates. Her ego flared up often, But every time she sat across from a terrified 40-something daughter who had just received her parent's Alzheimer's diagnosis, Maria's age and her trauma became her greatest superpowers. She knew exactly what to say, what forms to file, and how to survive the nightmare. The young social workers had textbook knowledge. Maria had battlefield experience. Phase 3, owning the authority over the next 3 years. Maria became indispensable. The families she helped clung to her because she projected total, calm authority. She started giving seminars at the non-profit on navigating Medicaid and estate planning. A regional hospital system took notice of her incredibly high success rate in preventing hospital readmissions for dementia patients. They poached her, creating a brand new role specifically for her, Director of Patient Advocacy. Maria didn't have to apologize for her past anymore. Her past was the exact reason she held the title. The resolution. The second spring. Fast forward to Maria at 59. Her office is in a bustling hospital wing. Her salary is higher than it was before she left the workforce in her 40s. She has a deep, resonant purpose. When she goes home at night, the house is still quiet, but it doesn't feel like a tomb anymore. It feels like a sanctuary. Maria realizes that the decade she spent in the dark wasn't a waste of her potential. It was the forging of it. She learned that you cannot let a society that values endless hustle convince you that caregiving makes you weak. It makes you made of steel. She didn't lose her life. She just had to walk through the fire to find the second half of it. The core takeaways for the reader: do not apologize for the gap. Caregiving, surviving an illness, or navigating a massive personal trauma is not a vacation. It is a crucible. Stop treating it like a shameful secret on your resume. Translate your battlefield skills. You may have lost your corporate jargon, but you gained crisis management, extreme empathy, and logistical mastery. Learn to speak about your survival as a hard, transferable skill. Your trauma can become your niche. Often, the exact thing that broke your life in half is the very thing you are uniquely qualified to help others navigate. The lost years were not lost. You did not fall behind. You stepped out of line to do something profoundly human. The timeline you are on right now is the exact one you are supposed to be on. Society will try to convince you that if you aren't producing capital, you are falling behind. But surviving the darkest rooms of human existence gives you a grit and an authority that cannot be taught in a boardroom. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience.